Granted skill, Ring of Steel. Yeah, that's not good enough. Got a much better belt here as well. Perfect. And there are a couple of components. I was actually looking at that build that I was talking about before, the one Ritualist build that I saw. Okay, so now they're totally aggroing my pets here. Wow, my skeletons got annihilated. Oh shit. Anyways, as about the components that build, the build recommended, there were two components that are recommended. One of them was salt something or another, and it basically gives us, there's two auras that we can give. There's the void aura, and then there was another aura that were granted by these components. And I'm forgetting the actual names of the components themselves, but there's something that I'm definitely going to want to watch out for. Because any other auras that we can stack and enhance our pets, we're going to definitely want to get in on that. I'm actually really liking Ill Omen. My major complaint about it just seems to be the lack of some sort of like audio-visual feedback indicating that I have indeed cursed a monster. I mean, other than the fact that the fear, the terrify aspect of it is totally clear. Like, I get that. Okay, so if a monster is affected by that, there's a clear indicator for that. But this whole reduces target's physical damage for 1 second, and for what I've understood about it is that it like gets recast on the monster. I don't really understand how that works, but it's got a 3-second duration, and basically over those 3 seconds is that this minus 4% reduction of target's physical damage for 1 second, is that gets recast or reapplied every second. I guess that's the way it works. But there's nothing on the monster that says that they're actually being affected by that. Unless, of course, you're telling me that this thing is like a damage over time type of thing, where the 3-second duration is 3 cold damage applied 3 times for every second. Or is it I think the 3-second duration is the Terrify's 2 seconds. I don't know. I just want an indicator that it's like being applied. Unless, of course, it's just like a direct damage skill. Like it just does the damage the one time and that's it. You know what I'm gonna do? The next time we play, the next time I boot up my campaign, instead of summoning, if I remember to do this, if might I add, before I summon all my pets, I'm gonna go out in the wilderness, like just right outside of Devil's Crossing, and then fight like a level 1 monster just by myself and just cast Ill Omen on them and just see what it looks like. See if that applies anything besides the damage. I'm just genuinely curious. Because I feel like that's a major design flaw if they never included that. Okay, so for instance, my monsters, look at this, monster's right here on the edge, but I can't get them to go all the way up there. I'm straight up targeting this guy when he was up there, and it wouldn't do it. Oh, is that it? Is that it right there? The skulls? Oh, I can't rotate the camera anymore. The skulls, I think that's the actual, the symbol of it. I just wasn't seeing it before. Picked up a whole bunch of gear here. Shitty armor, shitty helmet. Not gonna even take a look at the two-handed gun. So this is a better shield. Yeah, it's a better shield. Don't get me wrong, the granted skill is nice, and the defensive ability, the poison and acid resistance, it's all really good. Rare amulets. Gives us health bonuses. I think we should go with that. Anytime I see health bonuses, we should always consider it, since we're playing hardcore. And as far as the rest of the stuff goes, yeah, okay, so we're good to go. The rest of it is just basically salable. Salable shiznits. Carvor's Conjuring Bone. Interesting. We get a pet bonus damage. 5% a chance attack on attack right there. So this thing is actually kind of shitty. All it does is it boosts up our damage. School cooldown is pretty good. Bonus damage to all pets, pretty good. And the chance to proc this on attack is actually pretty fucking good. But there's a 5% chance I will actually summon another monster that lives for 22 seconds. I don't think so. I mean, this looks really good, but you know something? I want the plain Jane, like always reliable shield here with the all the bonuses, the resistances, and everything else. That's the more practical choice. Remember, we gotta play somewhat cautiously here. Really just like wandering around, not only just covering up or uncovering the fog in the map, but I'm looking at the they're all getting terrified. God, the cooldown on this skill sucks ass. So if I'm not mistaken, I feel like it looks like these guys are, they have like these like whitish skulls around them when they become affected by my ill omen. You know, one other thing I don't really like about this skill that I feel like has to get, I hope it scales when you level it up, but the range. 2-meter target area. You know what it doesn't tell you? It doesn't tell you how close you have to be. It doesn't tell you range. So for instance, if I'm standing right here and the monster's over here by like this tent pole right here, like it's standing right here, I think that's literally out of the range of this skill because I've had to get pretty close. I had to be like right here in order to cast it. And unfortunately, it doesn't tell you here. Wow, that's kind of a bummer. Hey, Crate, can you guys put this in here? Could this be like a quality of life feature you guys put in this? Is the range, the casting range on some of these spells? Because it would be a really helpful if I knew I had to be like, I could be like full screen distance away to cast this thing, or if I had to be like pretty close up. Because that makes a big difference. And not only that, but like I need to know if it actually scales when I put more skill points into the skill. So I'm going to say this about Ill Omen. Ill Omen is a really good skill, but I have to either A, use it sparingly, you know, use it where it totally makes sense to use it, like in the middle of a boss fight, or there's just a point in time where I just straight up need to use it to get away. Or I need to like start stacking some CDR, right? Because the way I'm using it right now is kind of like almost like a Curse of Frailty where I'm trying to spam it. And it doesn't really work that way. I guess the only other way for me to do it, look at that. All of these trash monsters here are all affected by Terrify. That's just awesome. Basically what that means is that they're not attacking me. They're just wandering around aimlessly while all my pets are sitting there pegging them. Yeah. That's fucking badass. I should stack some CDR. Ill Omen's ridiculous. And I remember looking at it before thinking, nah, that looks kind of shitty. Or it just looks so subpar. And I think the reason why, you know, you might thumb your nose at it or something is because it doesn't really do much. It doesn't do any, like, much in the way of, like, damage or anything else. So I think it's just really mindset or perspective. You know, what your desires are, looking for skills, and then you look at something like that and you're just like, ugh. The whole purpose of it is two things. First of all, the minus in reduction, or the reduction in movement speed, pretty fucking good. But the Terrify is perfect. Might have to take a short break here in a minute because I'm almost out of my my morning tea. Speaking of which, I should probably see if I have any mail. Yeah, I'm a tea connoisseur, so I order all of my mail through specialty retailers. And I haven't received my my recent order yet. Like, for months and months and months and months, I had really good quality Genmaicha in abundance. But I drank the shit out of it. And then all of a sudden I find myself completely out of the stuff, so I had to put in an order. And I just haven't received it yet. It's quite alright. You know, one other thing that this game could use is maybe like a little bit more intuitive targeting. Oh shit. There we go. This is the perfect time to use Ill Omen. So for instance, when I was like sitting right here, there's a section of the wall here that's crumbling and you can target it with your default attack or whatever and then destroy it. But if you click on it from here, it auto attacks, right? And that's stupid because my projectiles are getting basically hung up on this terrain over here, this like wall. So wouldn't it make sense for like there to be like just an auto movement feature where like I actually get into the position I need to be in to actually hit my target? I don't know. I guess I could see the case being made against something like that. But there needs to be something in place because the way it is right now it's terrible. You know, and for as many good reviews as this game has garnered, which it has, I mean, it totally has. I feel like, I mean, I don't know. Is most of the shit that I'm talking about, is this stuff like just like little niggles? You know, basically we're just kind of nitpicking at this point. Is that all I'm doing? Are these things really not that big of issues? See, my thing is that it's not really so much that the little things are themselves like big issues and, you know, take away from the overall quality of the game. I don't want to say that, but I have to say that when there are enough, like, little things, it becomes kind of like, what, like is that a gestalt? I don't remember. I always forget the definitions between Ersatz and gestalt. But basically, you get all these, like, little things, and when you add them all together, it becomes a thing to me personally. And I feel like that a lot of these little things should have been maybe added together and taken into account for a lot of the reviews of this. However, I'm not really entirely certain if some of these things have come around or been, you know, introduced into the game because of new features, you know, via like DLC or expansions or whatever. I don't know if some of these things have been around since day one. I don't know. I mean, because I haven't been playing this game since day one. As a matter of fact, I remember looking up and there was a thread from like 2014 on this game. Unbelievable. But I'm pretty sure that that's when this game was back in like, you know, alpha stages of development when it was still doing like Kickstarter. Which I have to say, I'm a little bummed out because if I would have found out about this game in time when it was still a Kickstarter, I totally would have kickstarted this title, absolutely. So I picked up so much shit, I don't even know what I picked up. I hate that when that happens. It doesn't really look like we actually gathered something that we can use to replace our existing equipped gear, but still, it would have been nice to know to actually been able to parse all that stuff out so I can, you know, make the evaluation that I need to about, hey, you know, is this piece of gear better than what we have equipped right now? Yes or no? So personally, I was gonna say I would rather go the long way, but I suppose I could just swing around. Yeah, see, okay, Ill Omen gives you these, like, this little skulls thing. And since we just discovered the new waypoint, we might as well take the opportunity and go back to town. So I can sell a whole bunch of the stuff in our inventory. And then we need to give the amulet over to Sybil Heart.
I'll give you a good price on what I've got left.
I think I'm actually going to keep this this offhand. I don't think I'm ever going to actually end up using it, right? But I still kind of want it around just in case. So we did pick up a new magical ring. I think this is probably a better ring than the ordered copper band of the Badger. But we'll keep that off to the side as well. Let's see here. Helmets. Yeah, I think the rest of this stuff was junk. There's got to be a point in time in the game where you don't really need to buy junk or the scrap anymore. I just don't know when that is, so I just keep buying it just in case.
It's a good use.
All right, I guess we'll talk to Miss Sybil Heart here first.
What do you want?
Turn in the quest. You've returned! I see that you carry my brother's amulet. So it is as I feared. Unfortunately, Milton was one of the dead. This is a lot to take in. Milton, I'm sorry, brother. Thank you, stranger. At least I can live knowing my brother is free of all this misery. The amulet was enchanted to keep my brother strong. I think you could use it more than me. Here, may it bring you luck. I'm sorry for your loss, madam. Got 300 experience, 100 Devil's Crossing reputation, which may... Actually... Oh, we're still tolerated. God damn it. I was hoping to get to the point where they're actually happy with us, but... And we got the Amulet of Life Giving, which gives us plus 5% health and a whole bunch of life regen. Thank you for helping my brother. His suffering is at an end. I wish I could have done more. Well, our current inventory, our current amulet is pretty bonkers. It's really good. So this whole Sister's Amulet of Life Giving is not that great. This gives me plus 41 flat health and then the plus 6% health. So it's just strictly better than the other amulet just to begin with. Otherwise, I was going to say you could technically do the math and find out how much 5% health actually is. But I don't think that's totally necessary. As far as complete... we got another amulet here, don't we? I think we're going to sell that. So the rest of these look like components. We got a couple here that are finished. Chip claw. Okay. What I like to always do is just not necessarily color code them per se, but I do like to put, like, you know, the little tincture bottles together. I like to be meticulous.
I'll give you a good price on what I've got left.
I'll give you a good price on what I've got left.
I feel like that voice actor is always just trying to do, like, a really contrived, generic British person and Jason Statham at the same time. That's what I hear every time I hear that voice. Like a poor man's Jason Statham that was trying to do like a really terrible British accent. So I'm gonna cast this Ill Omen as an opener anyways, because it just affects everybody. It's ridiculous. I love it. I'm so happy with this skill. It works out really well for me. Again, one thing I don't like about it is... Oh, we need more skeletons here. One thing I don't like about it, first of all, it doesn't really have that high of a casting range. And most importantly, it doesn't even fucking show you on here, which sucks. So I don't know if that actually is scalable when you level up the skill. And the second thing is I don't know, like, when it comes to bosses, it doesn't really do anything. But, like, with the bosses that actually spawn or summon or revive, like, peon monsters, anything that's diminutive, this skill is fabulous because it takes care of all the riffraff while you and your pets concentrate on the boss itself. Like, if you guys remember, say, like Andariel, or maybe Bloodraven, how they're always swarmed with all their, like, little peon diminutive monsters. Ill Omen would just wreck those characters, especially Bloodraven, because then, you know, all of her resurrected corpses and skeletons, zombies, and what have you, they just go piss off, while all your pets do all the damage. I like the sound of that. So we got a cave over here. I'll go down in the cave here in just a moment. I really just want to unlock the rest of this fog. Fog busters! Something else that I noticed that I don't really like about Ill Omen is that if you end up casting it on a monster and that monster dies beforehand, there's no chance of it spreading. Which I don't know if it's actually been affected by the skill itself, because I don't really get a good enough indicator. The skulls is just so light. Am I just bitching to bitch? Am I really just being one of those people right now? Am I being a miserable person just by constantly complaining? I don't really think it's really necessarily complaining. I feel like I'm trying to give constructive criticism. But am I doing too much of it? That's an honest answer. I mean, honest question, by the way. Wasn't meant to be, like, rhetorical or anything. So, much better boots armor-wise. Gives us a little bit of resistances, but we are going to take the hit to our health. It's only a small hit. I think we should do it. I don't want to fall behind the whole armor percentage curve on the case of just modifiers. +1 is Searing Light. Well, we don't have Searing Light, so that's going to be not useful for us. What else did we get? I think that was it. Okay. Nice. Good dead-end island over here. But we do have, like, these treasure box stumps and bodies. Treasure bodies. Treasure corpses. Oh, and the other thing that happened on the time that I played in between streams was I got to that point where instead of collecting white items, the non-magical, or the items, I guess, without affixes is another way to put them, they were, you know, I started to look and pay attention to how much money they were actually giving me when I sold them, and it's just really pennies on the dollar, and they're totally not worth my time, so I filtered them out. been meaning to actually bring that up. And it was like every time I was blathering on about skill X or Y out there, like I'd notice and be like, oh yeah, I should probably mention that. And I didn't want to like sit there and digress like right in the middle of my thought. I guess one last criticism that I have of Ill Omen is that I'm pedantic, okay? I'm a pedant. I need details. I need excruciating, exhaustive details. That's who I am. I do definitely concern myself with the details. And I want to know, okay, when it comes to Ill Omen, is when specifically is it cast? When you cast Ill Omen, there seems to be a little bit of hang time, and definitely there's a casting animation. So when you cast Ill Omen, you have like the skull that pops up. You won't see it unless I'm actually casting it on a monster themselves. Like these guys. See the skull? It doesn't seem to take a... It doesn't seem... The skill doesn't seem to actually be applied until like maybe halfway through the actual animation itself. But I would love to know the specifics of it, like when is precisely the moment that Ill Omen is applied. Because if I'm trying to be really strategic about its application, like I really need to know that. That's vital information. I know some people out there are just gonna roll their fucking eyes. Just be like, Jesus Christ, man. Don't you think that's a little too involved? A little much? Not for me. Not for me, ladies and gents. That's just who I am in real life anyways. Gotta have them deets. We got a little bit of fog here, and it looks like to me that these cave entrances, they probably part of the same cave system. I'm also like theorizing about the best placement of Ill Omen, and I'm thinking instead of like the monsters when you first see them and how they're kind of like scattered, it definitely spreads, but the problem is I'm not able to capitalize on it because then the monsters get terrified and they run off screen. And I think the best place to use it is when they start to congregate. They start to like basically condense into the one area to attack my pets, and that would be the perfect time. My problem is that I'm a little over level for this area, so by the time the enemies actually do get up to me, they're pretty much dead by the time I cast my Ill Omen. And that's really where my thought process of, you know, when it is Ill Omen actually applied, you know, based upon its casting animation and everything else. That's where all of that was coming from, because I'm just looking for the most efficient placement of the spell. Like, when should I cast the spell? Like, when am I going to get the best returns or the best effects? You know, should I be doing it, you know, when they're spread out? Should I be doing it when they're clumped together? And when they're clumped together, my pets are killing them so quickly, so when the fuck should I do it? I'm gonna go through the southern cave entrance rather than the northern cave entrance, so I don't have to backtrack later. I'd rather just do the backtracking now. We have picked up a couple of items so far, so we do definitely want to take a look at what we got. Got some green shoulder pads here, which are much better. Sold. And then we got a new ring here, and it's pretty garbage. All right, let's drop our town portal right here. Oh, see, this is the perfect time for Ill Omen. Yeah, buddy. I remember this fucking place. This cave right here, ladies and gentlemen, is right when all these monsters, they rush you. Just like they're doing now. Come on, please take them out. Right? And it becomes really incredibly difficult to deal with because you end up fighting so many of these guys at once. Like I said, because you get rushed. Shit, I cast that wrong spot. And I remember having to embarrassingly enter and exit this cave a couple times just simply because I couldn't deal with, you know, the sudden onset of several of these slith monsters. Ill omen, that's the answer. Alright, I'm gonna take a little break here. We're gonna go back to town and I'm gonna sell this nonsense first. Could use a little bit of refill in my beverage. Oh, looks like we got another quest here. There is a fire in your eyes and blood on your clothes. Did you put those tainted men down? Tell me, how did it feel? I felt vindicated, righteous. I didn't feel much of anything. Regret. These people once lived. I think we're gonna choose the first option. That's what I like to hear. If it wasn't for my bum leg, I'd be out there with ya. Paying others with good iron and hearing the tales is just the next best thing. Speaking of which, here's your share. Well, thank you very much. So we get 150 experience points, 800 iron, and a piece of scrap. Okay. Unfortunately, we don't get any Devil's Crossing reputation points, which is kind of a bummer. You killed scores of the shambling dead, but I think you can do better. The Aether corruption created some truly monstrous mutations in the dead. I heard a tale from the Burwitch survivors that witnessed a horrifying transformation with their own eyes. Balros and Hagra, they were fine folk, ran the boarding house up in Burwitch. That is until the Aether got them. Turned them into the things you used to only see in nightmares. Those that got away spoke of bloated flesh and blades of bone. I cannot even imagine it. Word is they chased the survivors as far as the Moldering Fields to the south of Burwitch. Got out there and hunt some down. Go out there and hunt some down. And then tell me of the slaughter. I'll make it worth your while. Alrighty, sir. So we have to slay Balros and Hagra. Okay. I kind of wish there was like some sort of indication that there were going to be new quests available in town at that given point in time, because I don't really think I did anything. I think I just progressed in the moment I got into that area.
Safe storage, no questions asked.
You know what? I have no idea why I came to the stash first, to be very honest with you. Apparently we had another ring here. One of them was garbage. It was this one. Piece of trash. 8% physical damage, 8% internal trauma. The internal trauma damage is your damage over time, your dots. So that just increases that. I'd rather have the vitality, or would I? The resistances are important, so we're going to keep that. I think this one's done. Serrated Spike. And Searing Embers is done. Perfect. Let's see here. Just making sure that we don't indeed have any other completed components that I can add in my stash here. Do have this ointment. And I was reading in that build last night for the Ritualist, they were advocating the heavy usage of ointments, especially when you're trying to min-max your whatchamacallem, your resistances. And you need to fill out like the 1 or 2 resistances that you have not yet maxed out, that the ointments are a good way to go. That is something that we may explore later on, or if I know I'm going to be going through a dungeon that's like, I don't know, heavy cold skills or something like that, then I may end up buying a few ointments just to round out our resistances, depending on what they look like at that given point in time. We had a third ring here. Piece of garbage. Yeah, we don't need them.
Iron well spent.
Alright, anyways, I'm going to take a break here. I'm going to make some more tea here, and then I think we'll get started and pick up the rest of our quest. So I'll see you guys in a few moments.